Colleen. I oversee e-commerce here at Steve Madden, which is actually a family of brands. So I oversee all of our US sites. In addition to Steve Madden, that includes Dolce Vita, Greats, Betsy Johnson, and Blondo. We've been dipping our toe in AI since about 2022. And we're kind of at the stage where we're really looking at engagement and is AI serving up things in the way we're using it that's of interest to our customer.
I'm Jenna Flateman Posner, CDO of Solo Brands. We are a public holding company for outdoor lifestyle brands, namely Solo Stove, the most widely distributed smokeless fire pit, as well as Chubby's, Isle, Oru, and a number of others. I would say we're more than dipping our toe in the water. We're kind of dipping our leg in the water. We've definitely had some really interesting use cases around customer service and copywriting, and we're definitely understanding the value of generative, and we're all in for sure. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Hi, I'm Mike Dupuis. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at SPARC Group, which is a joint venture between Authentic Brands Group and Simon Properties, and more recently, Shein. I oversee e-commerce, omni-channel, and data for SPARC Group. I would say thanks to my incredible team here at SPARC Group, we have been experimenting in a number of different sectors, from customer care, site experience, customer data for the past year or so, but so much more to do and excited to talk about it.
I'm CMO at Session AI and I had the opportunity to lead marketing for a number of AI companies, one Bloomreach for a number of years, and then also Eightfold AI that's matching people to jobs using AI. So this is definitely a lot of fun to have a technology to talk about and work, really understand, AI and how it's affecting e-commerce.
I think first off, this AI thing, it's a thing, right? And it felt kind of buzzy in the beginning. We weren't quite sure how we were going to apply some of these use cases to our businesses. But as digital executives, we really have to lean in. And I think many of us, myself included, have put some use cases in market, some measurable use cases that have shown significant success. And that success could be measured in efficiencies, right? We're time saving. It could be in dollars. We're driving revenue. But I think the reality here is that we've proven that there is something here. We've proven that there are efficiencies to gain, there are dollars to gain, and now it's our responsibility to educate the business, continue to generate buy-in, and work strategically with our third-party tech providers to make sure that we're implementing great tech at the intersection of performance. So, we've done that very well. We have done that on the customer service side. Famously, we have published case studies that are out there right now to kind of champion the work that we've done, which has been awesome. But it really just validated the assumption that there's something really, really rich here. And it's given us the excitement, the autonomy, and frankly, the budget to invest and continue to drive value to the business and to our shareholders. And just to give some context, we had a chatbot live that was, the old traditional chatbot where it's only as good as your most recent flow, right? So you have to kind of build this decision tree, this yes, no, et cetera, to make sure if the customer says this, then this is the answer. And you're kind of it's not generative, right? It's not actually responding or reacting or generating content for this customer interaction. And so it's static and it's one-dimensional. And so we worked with Simpler to actually put a generative chatbot in market. And over the course of the pilot, we saw staggering results. So first of all, the chatbot was actually able to close over 40% of the tickets that were created through the experience. So that meant that we weren't having to spend precious human moments on solving mundane tasks, and consumers were able to self-serve, get to their desired outcome faster. And as a result, we saw a very significant increase in our CSAT score as well. So customers were ultimately happier. Now, the benefit of this as well is that for those customers that do need that intervention, that do need that added touch, what a great opportunity to have the resources available to escalate to make that connection. So that was another big benefit. And then the last piece here was a 37% decrease in actual workload. So we're no longer having to handle building out those specific flows. We don't have to build them. We don't have to monitor them. We don't have to evaluate them. The system is kind of just working. And additionally, on top of that, the chatbot can do things like recommend policy changes. Hey, we see that the majority of your requests for returns are coming in after 35 days, not after 30 days. You might want to consider giving the consumer 5 additional days. It can do things like identify deficiencies in product by feeding it our product reviews, and it can actually, highlight some of those potential consistencies across customer reviews that we might go missed in kind of the amalgamation of customer reviews. Additionally, it can write us FAQs. We've seen massive success with it. Again, I still feel like we've just scratched the surface on the implementation, and we continue to iterate on it, but it checked the box on value, and we're continuing to double down on it for sure.
We kind of borrowed from some academics that we heard, presenting on the topic, because there was a lot of fear and trepidation around, oh my gosh, this is all about sort of jumping straight to automation. And that certainly is an intimidating sort of way to approach this. They offered up this framework of assist, augment, and automate as a bit of a progression. And that really resonated with me and some members of our team, because it helped us to, start slowly and pilot a number of different programs across a number of different sectors. So, assist, is just as it sounds. How do we start to use these pilots to make our existing team as productive as they possibly can be? Augment, sort of next level. How do we use these pilots and ultimately at scale to augment our teams, our processes, and make a team of 20 be able to operate like a team of 30 or 40, and automate. And there are examples of that. Certainly the customer care examples, the fraud examples that you already brought up, those are more mature, more automation tasks that, previously had to go in front of humans, no longer do. That's by far the smallest, sort of by number, pilots that we have going on. The vast majority sit in those first two categories, and that kind of demystified it for us as an organization and as a group of managers and directors and so forth running these different sectors. But site experience around content and imagery, customer care around chatbots, our first party data, and starting to generate ideas about Gen AI, helping to identify LTV models and attrition and things like that. And there's a number of other sectors that we sort of split the business up into, and identified the pilots that we wanted to support.
Our collections on site for both Steve Madden and Dolce Vita are merchandised by AI. That was kind of our first dip into the pool. So obviously, we'll pin items that are featured in marketing or something. But otherwise, it re-ranks itself based on product engagement and conversions. And we A/B tested that against the hand merchandising we were doing before, and they were really head to head. It was like a 1% lift from the AI version. So it wasn't a huge business driver, but just proving that the logic worked and we didn't have to be putting the time of the team into hand merchandising was a huge unlock that opened up the time for other drivers, which was really great. And we've partnered with a vendor who actually curates our collections using AI and matching the assortment based on image recognition, which has allowed us to turn things around really quickly. So we turned around a whole campaign around mob wives for Steve Madden. Within a matter of days, we've built out, collections for every Taylor Swift era, instead of kind of just doing one holistic one. So it lets us get kind of at a deeper level, without having to be a total time suck, which is really great. And then, we've explored a lot of people in the poll I know voted for content. We've used AI imagery in social channels, particularly at Betsy Johnson. We did a lot of holiday posts for different occasions. That customer loves the holiday. We do holiday themed jewelry and things that are always a hit. But all of Christmas decorations, very pink, very Betsified. We saw quadruple the engagement and triple the comments on those posts than the ones that we were generating ourselves, which is really, really interesting. One of the other things that we've been doing recently that we've seen a lot of success with, we're still kind of testing it out, but we've put predictive recommendations in email. So based on the shopper's behavior, what is likely to be the next thing that they would come purchase, based on similar patterns that we've seen elsewhere. And then kind of layering on top of that, making sure that anything we're including in the recommendation comes in their size. So doing a lot of kind of bought this, bought that aggregation, and then layering that size in. But we've seen double-digit lifts and click-throughs of engagement of getting those customers back in our emails, which has been really exciting.
I'll echo Colleen's call outs and say that we've definitely seen some early success in both SMS and email channels, for sure, for similar reasons. We have also started to see some early success in using Gen AI to generate dynamic audiences out of CDP, which is showing some really positive early results in terms of the efficiency of those campaigns that are using that technology. And then another area I'll call out is some early results in terms of dynamic PDP assets and copy in terms of conversion rates associated with those. So those are a few encouraging early wins that we're keeping an eye on.
I can hit this one. First of all, hi, Kent. Lovely to be speaking directly to you. So here's what I'll say, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, Jill. The reality is that we're already using AI today. And so I think AI becomes this big, marketable, nebulous thing, a little overwhelming to some executives. And so I think the first step is really understanding what in your existing tech stack is utilizing AI to be successful today. And how can you help educate the value of that? I was sitting doing a panel discussion at NRF, and I surveyed the audience and I said, how many of you are using AI today? And it was maybe like, 5, 6, 7 people in the audience. And I said, okay, how many of you are using fraud today? How many of you have a fraud decisioning engine today? And, half the room raises their hand. And I said, okay, well, you're all using AI today, right? So I think getting in the weeds to understand what are the technologies that are currently thriving in your environment that are utilizing AI, use that as an opportunity to gain alignment with your executives, to prove that we already have it, we already see value, and to kind of demystify this thing that is AI. So I did that. It worked really well for me, and it gave me the opportunity to start testing and learning and having permission to go out and investing in this thing that is now less nebulous because guess what? We're already bought in. So that was really helpful for me, and it might seem a little obvious, but it kind of it took the intimidation factor out of it for the executive team, and it brought us kind of all to the same level for a moment, and that was really helpful.
I would follow it up with saying, if revenue growth, operating expense reduction, leveraging payroll and other sort of fixed assets, and sponsoring a low capex innovation agenda are part of the boardroom conversations, then AI, fits neatly into all of those things. And so, the model that I just talked about earlier, assist, augment, automate, was helpful, but also translating the pilots that we wanted to move forward on and are continuing to operate today in those terms, because there is revenue generation, there is OpEx management, there is keeping payroll flat while still, using AI to augment the team structure. And by and large, most of these that we've talked about today are relatively low CapEx investments, if that's also a sensitive area. So I think those are terms that will resonate in any owners or meeting or boardroom conversation.
I also think it's at the intersection of these. Like, there are scenarios where there are some AI applications that are actually pretty complex to get into market. And Jason, I'm going to do you a solid, earmuffs. There are also some technologies that are very easy to implement that just require the ability to throw a tag on your site and do some listening and learning and being able to put this into action. So I think, it's funny, I was actually having a conversation with one of your sales reps, Jason, last week out in San Diego. I was telling him the value of a pilot, the value of a period of time where we can test the product, especially when there's a low barrier to entry from a technical perspective, and really have a measurable business case that we can bring back to our executives to sell in, and the time to do that through the course of the pilot. I think that that's really the big unlock here. If you're sitting with an AI use case or technology that is relatively easy to implement, giving us the time to actually prove it and sell it back into the business is going to be super helpful.
I think we're all in this place where there's lots of technologies to try out. There's lots of ideas that are floating around, and actually getting the learning quickly and being able to have a story around that. Like, everyone has to have a story about AI. Like, if they don't have a story about AI, they're going to get left behind. And so I think there's something to that, where, find ways to get quick wins, and then be able to like retell that story over and over again.
When it comes to the board tying into partnerships that you already have, so many partners, whether it's merchandising tools, email providers, whoever it might be, are exploring AI at the same time, and they're looking for partners who want to test and learn with them. So I think, doing those types of proof of concepts, like Jenna mentioned, with partners that you already work with, makes it a much easier sell to a group like that. It's so hard to just pick three. I think kind of next step where I really want to see it is more of the back of house thing. So forecasting, price modeling based on set parameters. Do we want to drive margin? Are we over inventoried and want to push through units, and really being able to simplify and utilize that. And then I think, continuing to drive personalization through it too, and make it as seamless as possible for the customer.
Predictive analytics, demand forecasting, and personalization. Those are big ones. So agree with Colleen on that. And predictive analytics, broad category, but an unbelievable amount of opportunity there.
Can it continue to scratch the surface on CS? We've seen a lot of really good proof points there. Demand planning, hands down. I never want to build a forecast again. Please, tech, do this for me. There's no reason a human brain should be doing this. So I would say that's number two. And then the third one, which was a little less popular, and I'll give a little color around this, is I'm calling it conversational search. I'm trying to speak it into existence. I don't know exactly if that's right, but it's a thing I really, really want. Listen, when I walk into a store, I'm met by an associate. I'm asked what I'm here for, and I say, I'm here for some red shoes. And they say, that's great. What are you using it for? And I say, I'm going on a hike. It's okay, cool. What's your size? And then I tell them, and then they go into a stock room, and they come back with like one or two different styles of shoes, and then I try them on. Today, when I go to a website, I hit a search bar and I type in red shoes, and I'm given every red shoe in every size and everything. Like, it's the onus that we are putting on the consumer from a digital perspective to find their way through the plethora of red shoes. There's an opportunity to create a connection, to create a conversation, and allow that engagement to really amplify and streamline the shopping experience. And I'm super bullish on figuring out what tech is going to offer that, how are we going to do it, and how are we going to leverage those benefits of that personal touch in the store and weave that into that digital experience. So I'm watching that one. I'm really excited. I just talk about it as much as I possibly can because I just need someone to do it.
On the tech side, it's a little different, right? So it's for us, content creation is just very clearly a place where it's augmented already. Some of the other places is also persona development and like understanding the people who might buy from us better. And I think that applies not only to the tech side, but also to, on the e-commerce side as well. Yeah. And then also, it's an interesting one, but it's actually like using it in HR and matching people to roles. I think their team building is just like so important. And so finding the right people for the right roles and using AI in that area, I think it's very, very interesting. So with AI, we're finding that you can drive growth. People are really needing to maintain product margin and then also rely less on promotion. So this is something very specific to the AI that we've created with Session AI. And so what we do is we actually understand in the moment purchase propensity in just 5 clicks. And so there's absolutely no customer data. And so it's all about behavioral AI that understands how people move through the site, what they're consuming. And then we're able to predict, will someone buy, will someone not buy, and who might be on the fence. And so This is an AI model that runs when someone's on the site and actually delivers back essentially a segmentation in 40 milliseconds. 40 milliseconds to run the model, 40 milliseconds back. And it's pretty, it's opening up a whole new set of opportunities for companies who are able to embrace it. And so we talked about Verizon specifically up front. They are using this to, deliver specific offers to people in the cell phone purchasing funnel that need it. And then they also are not giving offers to people who don't need it. And so it really identifies who in the moment actually might need an incentive or a nudge to convert. I'm going to quickly hit on a case study. So this is a large $11 billion auto parts retailer. They came to us and they had a mandate from the CEO to become less promotional. And so they were spending, around $105, $110 million in, kind of annual promo spend. And so you can see the breakdown here that, 83 million of those dollars were going to people who are already going to be likely buyers. And so, they had a lot of site-wide offers, a lot of stackable offers. And so part of this is we're able to understand people's intent. And so we were able to suppress offers for the people who are already going to buy and then refocus those dollars on the people who are on the fence. And so in the first year, they were able to reduce promo spend 35%. So you can think about that. That's $40 million more. And just getting like a huge ROI on their investment and what we do. So I wanted to just intro this as to get like very specific around something that's real in AI today. I know everyone's trying to make sense of AI and have an answer for it. This is definitely something you can take on today. There's a lot of interesting areas, right? And so it's fun to be talking about this with everyone, and look forward to the rest of the conversation with the whole group. So thanks for taking some time with us today.